Okay. What is going on? Josh Way, Dynamic Photowerks here again. We're doing more videos about interesting people and interesting cars and their owners. And today we got Eric Berger.
Hey everybody.
Eric Berger is kind of, I don't know, kind of like the dark shadow in the car world.
I just exist and don't exist at the same time, it seems like.
Right.
So, you guys know I'm Eric Berger. I run a B-list YouTube channel called Ovalbore.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm a huge car guy. I always have been. I've been doing it for maybe only about a decade or something like that, but I'm only 27, so I've only had a car for like 15 years at this point. By day, I'm an architectural draftsman. Pretty boring day job, but it affords me the opportunities and, you know, it gives me some time to at least shop for cars too during the downtime between projects. So, what got me into cars? Honestly, I couldn't really tell you for sure.
It's always a hard question.
Right. I mean, we always had boring, just garbage GM cars growing up, my parents and I, and then they got a couple of early 90s, late 80s BMWs. My mom got a 5 Series, my dad got a 7 Series. And then my mother just kept going on it, even though my dad kept kind of waffling back and forth between GM and BMW. And then eventually, when I got my first car, a second-gen Toyota MR2, that was just it for me. I learned how to drive manual in my parents' driveway when I was 14 in my first car. And then I sold it when I was 15, bought another MR2, and then all the way through high school I was in turbo diesel Mercedes and MR2s. And then I think 2010 was my first BMW. It was an E30 convertible automatic. And then buying the first parts car, starting to sell parts, and then I get into my 4 or 5 years as a parts dealer.
Okay.
And then this is kind of, it's what you see now. I've always had a fleet this size, but I've just been upgrading every car individually, one by one.
Let's, it might be hard, I don't know how long the list is, but how many cars have you had?
76. I have a spreadsheet.
Titled and owned 76
That doesn't
cars.
count parts cars.
And you're a year younger than me even. You're 27?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Rack off a list of cars that you, like your top 10 favorites that you'd said, like, these are what got you to believe, like,
okay,
you know, that
so
shaped your opinions on
cars. So not necessarily my car, but just like cars in my life?
No, your car, yeah, either.
Okay, fine. 1989 535i, 1991 Toyota MR2, 2000 Toyota MR2 Spider, 1987 BMW 325i convertible automatic. We'll go 1990 325i 5-speed, 2013 Fiat 500 Sport, E30 M3 BMW, that one there, which they can't see, 850i 6-speed BMW, Ferrari F355, BMW 1 Series M. One of my favorite cars isn't one of those top 10 though. It's my current daily driver, which is a 2013 Fiat 500 electric, which is out there. That's the car I drove down here. That thing, I'm not going to say it's my favorite car, but I mean, on the whole, it's the one I use every day. It's the one I put the miles on. It's the one I take places. I don't care if I get door dings. It's the one I beat up on V8 cars with out in the real world. It's the one I pay the most attention to just because it's the one I go out to every morning and it takes me to and from work. But I mean, that's my first ever electric vehicle. And like just experiencing the electric torque that everyone always talks about.
And those are fully electric, right?
Yeah, it's battery electric. It's got a 24 kilowatt hour Samsung lithium-ion battery pack in it.
And you just had how heavy of a load on it the other day? On a trailer?
Well, I had this lift behind me here on this trailer. It's 1,500 pounds.
With all the stuff?
Plus the 800-pound trailer.
Oh, gosh.
I drove it from Roseville.
And how do the motors not start on fire?
Well, the Fiat 500e has liquid-cooled motors, batteries, and inverters. It's considerably more advanced than like a Leaf or something like that. It's similar to an i3. They run a lot of the same hardware.
Okay, and how about the Ferrari?
The Ferrari, that was always like, that's a poster car.
Right.
That's like the 90s child me. Like, I watch Goldeneye. I grant that that's a GTS.
Right.
That's a takeout top, whatever. But, I mean, the Rosso Corsa F355 has always been my dream car. So, I started doing serious digging. Yeah. So, I ended up finding my car. It's a 1997 Motronic 5.2, so the less desirable engine computer. Everything past 95 was this way. Okay. And it was a Spider. It was the convertible, which not the most desirable body, but it was the right color. It's a Rosso Corsa on tan, and it's a 6-speed with that gated shifter, and it's an F355, and I could sorta afford it. So I think I offered him 13 grand under his asking or something like that, and he took it.
I mean, you've already done a lot of service. You've already had the engine out on it yourself.
Yeah,
something that not many people would volunteer to do.
And like I did a 12-part YouTube series on the engine out for that thing, and a lot of people are like it's very positively received. But like somebody posted all those links to the Ferrari chat forum, and like the people there are just like, oh, didn't use a degree, we're on the crankshaft. I'm like, well, the job's done. I've been driving the car completely problem free for 2 years since that service.
When I first met you at car shows or whatever, all I knew was like you're some BMW guy, and then as I've watched your social media and all this stuff, like you're doing so much repair and stuff yourself, and I'm like, who is this guy, and how is this possible? And you've obviously got some big skills. And
if I couldn't do it, I couldn't have half the cars I have.
Right. Well, that's the thing, because a lot of people couldn't do what you do because you've built up those skills, and of course the resources of lifts and tools and everything to help do that. But
that's a more recent addition, but now that I've had them, I can't not have them.
Can't not.
I mean, especially most of what I do for customers is full-on engine transmission swaps, and for that you 100% need a lift.
Yeah.
So,
and what's your take on car culture right now?
5 years ago, there was a meet every weekend or two, and you could just go to a mall, and it's not a big deal. But now I look at my calendar, and I've got like 3 overlapping meets on a Saturday or something like that. I'm like, well, now I got to choose favorites.
Yeah.
Like, who am I going to pick?
Yeah.
I'm really, really stoked to see that there are some millennials that are actually still getting into cars. But, I mean, they're getting in a completely different way that I just have to get used to and accept, because it's not how I'm into cars necessarily. Okay. And the culture is going to be shaped by that moving forward, so I have to make sure I can at least fit into it enough to maintain my presence in the car culture. Okay. But I'm still going to kind of keep beating my own drum. When I bought my first car, that 91 MR2, I knew nothing-ish. I mean, I knew like what a header was, what camshafts were, but like I did nothing on that car. I did like an eBay cold air intake, I did wheels, I did the typical, I did a build bro thing. But I mean, it just sort of expanded. When I got my second MR2, I did my first set of suspension work. That was the coilovers in that car, and I did body kit parts, and I bolted on some things I had painted at a body shop, and then it expanded to the BMWs, the E30s. The first ones I bought were just crap. So I learned how to do like a timing belt and a water pump on that thing. And, cars more or less are all the same. It's just nuts and bolts. You just have to make sure you're doing things in the right order, and you're torquing the things to the right spec, and you got the right tools for the right job. Right. How I got into it was forcing myself to do it, because I didn't have the money to take it anywhere else to do it.
Being brave enough to try it.
Right. Luckily, if something's already broken, you're not going to break it anymore, too. There's a lot of that.
Yeah, I've been there, though. I've dug myself some pretty deep holes.
I'm the guy who bought a 5-year non-serviced unknown Ferrari in Pittsburgh, drove it home, drove it another 6 months, and then
you've
learned how to do
got a bigger set than I do, I'd say, for sure. My last question, though, is what about the driving experience is meaningful to you? Like, I mean, what needs to be checked? What boxes need to be checked? Like, what about the driving experience is like?
Manual transmission. If I can't control exactly what's happening to my powertrain at all times, I'm out. It has to have good communicative steering. It doesn't necessarily have to be hydraulic, but like the last car I drove that had awful steering was when Mr. Wags, my daily E91, got rear-ended. I got a Cruise LTZ as a loaner, and that thing had electric steering, and like if you were on center going down the highway, you could feel like the detents in the motor windings, and it was just like juggling you back and forth. I can't deal with that. I mean, the quality of the shifter kind of goes along with the manual, but
so what about like the actual the soul of it? I mean,
doesn't matter.
I mean, is the combination of things coming together in a car, the experience, the noise, like.
Certain things are better than other, but I mean, I'll drive anything. Like last week, we had a guest on the podcast, and he had a Mitsubishi Mirage, one of the new ones, that just like nothing four-door cheapy car. I drove that thing. I had a blast. That was a third thing I want to add, because that's a uniform thing. If the seats aren't tolerable, I got to get rid of them.
Right.
But luckily, BMWs, their standard seats are awful, but their sport seats are the best in the business. Okay. And the Ferrari seats are okay. I can't change them.
Well, they are 20 years old.
Yeah, and they weren't treated well, so I'm working on it.
So anyway, though, that's a little picture of Eric, the Bergmeister, and what he's all about. And I hope you enjoyed this. So look for more videos. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Of course.
Eric Berger was someone I wanted to get on video because in a day and age where all we see are vlogs of hypercars we'll never attain or status updates containing more narcissism than quality thoughts, Eric remains true to himself. Eric shares his passions about cars using several mediums to help improve, inform, and build up the car community. Using YouTube, he shares tutorials on servicing techniques about most of his cars including the Ferrari 355, BMW E30 M3, and many more. I've enjoyed getting to know Eric over the past several years because he helps remind everyone that through hard work and trial and error, lessons can be learned and you'll be all the better for it. Being ambitious is what allows Eric to continually build and improve his collection of cars. What's stopping you from doing it? As always, my swag is available to anyone who wants it. Just contact me through my Instagram or Facebook pages. And be sure to subscribe for more videos just like this one. Thank you for watching.